Hi, welcome everyone to a yarn about snake talk. And although we're notionally in the cloud, unless any of us are in an aeroplane at the moment, I think we're all solidly on the land. And I'm speaking to you on the land of the Wurundjeri people, and I pay my respects to their elders and also to the ancestors of the lands where you come from as well. And I'd like to hand it over to Megan Kelleher and Tyson Yunkaporta, who will be guiding us our journey to make an acknowledgement of land as well. Tyson and Megan.
Hi, everyone. So I'd just like to acknowledge that we're coming to you from the lands of the Boonwurrung and Wurundjeri peoples. So we're here in Naarm in Melbourne, and I'm a Barada and Gapalbara woman. So my maternal ancestors are based in central Queensland. And I'm also a Kelleher. So the Kelleher family, migrated out from Ireland and moved to northeastern Victoria, which is Taungurung country. I'd just also like to pay my respects to the people of the Kulin Nation, which the Taungurung are part of as well. And Tyson, did you want to say anything?
Yeah, just Kevin's lit some incense there, but yeah, we want to send out all that good smoke to everybody in the world. Where so many of these yarns have traveled so far, and today when we're having this yarn about yarns, just yeah, just respectfully call out to all your ancestors and entities there, and especially the serpents who are always with us. You're never too far from a snake. Uh, you're never more than a few meters away from a snake
This is a
in one
lot.
form or another.
No,
So yeah, definitely call out to them as well, and hope they don't do anything terrible to us, which they can do from time to time. So we'll talk carefully.
Thanks, Tyson.
Yeah.
And please feel free to now put in the chat if you have an acknowledgement of where you're coming from, so we can get a sense of the breadth of people from the wider world who are with us at the moment. It's the custom at Garland events to also start with a salutation, and I'd like to salute in this event the hands of makers. Uh, Garland as a platform is one that privileges the role of the handmade object in keeping stories alive, uh, stories that become part of our everyday life that we wear in our bodies and that we exchange as gifts. And in that sense, they embody the care and patience and skill of makers. And this came forward very strongly on Tuesday when we had a conversation about craft in Africa. And there was an Angolan woman who spoke about the need to recover cultural heritage after colonization and spoke about basketry as a means of doing that. And her phrase was, "Our hands have memories." And that was very powerful. And a good example of that uh, was an exhibition back in 2019, which contained this object by dear Tyson Yunkaporta in a gallery in Brunswick, Melbourne, Mr. Kitley. And what it did, as far as I could see, and it was written about, it contained an arubus, the snake eating its tail carved into this club, a bundi, and when rolled out on clay, it became a, a number of separate serpents. And this was a reference uh, to the relationship between second peoples, a self-devouring civilization, and first peoples in terms of continuity and connection. And most of us, I imagine, have read Sand Talk and know about this method of using objects, carving objects in order to tell the story of concepts, to develop concepts. And this was a model for us in Garland as what you might call a thinker maker, somebody who can talk about the materials and skills in developing ideas. So since then, since Sand Talk, obviously, give or take a book or two, Tyson and Megan have come together to write this remarkable book, Snake Talk, that we have an opportunity to yarn about today. So now we hand it over to Megan and Tyson to take us on that journey. And meanwhile, we have a number of the story makers who contributed their wisdom through their objects who are with us from different parts of the world. With luck, we'll be able to hear from them. So, Tyson and Megan, would you like to take us on this journey?
Well, it's so exciting to see everybody and to see where you're coming from across the world. And we're just so honored. And we're, so I think that's been, just a highlight of the journey actually is just the how honored we've been to be able to connect with people from all over the world who've been generous in sharing their stories with us. And so, I see you there, Dias and Dias Prabu. I see Jamnalal there. There are others in, we're spotlighted at the moment, so I can't sort of, I can only see two people, two other screens, but I know that there are other makers out there. But sadly, one maker who is not with us, who's not able to join us, because he has actually left this realm, is Monken McGann. So Monken was a giant of Irish language revitalization. And we've come to know Monken in the last few years. He's spoken with Tyson and shared some of his beautiful knowledge and powerful knowledge, in Tyson's podcast and vice versa. We've got, a bookshelf full of his books, where he's, dedicated so much of his life to just understanding and bringing back the Irish language and showing people how the language is a portal into understanding Ireland and their own culture. So, we just want to, just dedicate this launch to Monken. Monken spoke with us along with Lydia Campbell, and they shared their story about the Great Worm, WYRM, and that's a really important story in Irish culture. So that's just one thing that we would like to, just share with everybody and just appreciate that journey that we went on with Monken and know that he's still here and his effect is ongoing.
Yeah, and also I guess with the book, just to make sure everybody here knows that this is a community of people yarning and making and entangled with different communities, with Garland, of course, being a massive part of that. And not even half the people we yarn with have, got a mention in the book. It's quite a thin book. It took a lot to put it together as it was, but in the end, we decided that the book would be a stimulus, an invitation to yarn, something that would spark, a network, web of serpents around the world, and for people to energize the connective lines and relationships across borders that the serpent is so good at. Um, yeah, so we sort of saw this as a foundation for everyone in the world to have a common sense of reality and a cosmology, to speak from, and that we could share in all our diversity, but then also all of our commonalities. Yeah, so we've got people here who, weren't in the book, but have been in the yarns with us, and just shared the most amazing stories. And, our hope is that these stories will be ongoing and will continue and will really spark quite a bit of global change in the world. That's our hope, that this will be something to contribute to bringing people together and, re-energizing all those old entities and lines in the land. Um, that make life thrive as we attempt to recover, the living world that's been so assaulted in the last couple of centuries. Yeah, so that's where we are, and we're really hoping that everybody here will, be emissaries, for the serpent stories that, they can share and have those yarns with people everywhere where they go, and um, yeah, take this sort of snake embassy um, everywhere, everywhere that they can. Maybe even to Mars one day.
Okay, would you like to start the journey then in a familiar place?
It's the
This is
Brazil.
Brazil, the world tree.
Yeah.
So is Rune out there? Are you there, Rune?
Rune was here just recently. He stayed with us for a week. So, oh
Yes.
my goodness. The
I,
yarns, it was like about 1,000 times more knowledge um, than what went into the chapter with Rune. But that's until he jumps on, if he is.
It sounds like Rune may not be there.
Okay. So yeah. So as you can see down in the roots of the tree, there are serpents. Um, yeah. And that's, I mean, that's the exciting thing. The serpent is always, at the foundation of things. The serpent, you know, um, moves between that realm of potentiality, so that dark sort of void that is pre-creation, but where the patternings of every potential thing that ever was and ever will be exists there and emerges in those patterns, out from that place in the deep dark. Um, yeah, and I guess that place belongs to women as well, which is why serpents and women are always connected in mythology. So that's important to acknowledge. Everywhere there's a snake, there's a woman there too, to mistrust and be slightly afraid of. Uh, yeah.
move on.
Um, oh God, Brenda, yeah, we're not offended by people say yarning. Um, It's hard to say, especially with the Irish stuff. It's hard to say who's allowed to say what and who got what from whom. We're not sure if the Irish got the word deadly from us or we got it from them. But if you go to Ireland, people say deadly all the time, even proper deadly, they'll say. So potentially that comes from our intermarrying and cultural exchange with the Irish. And I think it's the same with yarns. I think I know British people and Gaelic people say, talk about yarns, even as and they'll say spin a yarn. So I guess I don't think we'd be offended.
So just for anyone who missed the point, where the source of that, Brenda has posed a question in the chat asking, if we're offended by North Atlantic residents using the term yarn. And from what I understand, it's an Irish term anyway. So yarning, um, I think was brought in here by the Irish. Did you just say that?
Yeah.
Oh, you did. Sorry.
Yep. No worries.
I was busy reading the question. I do that. Um, and thank you, Kare. It's is that I'm sorry, I'm not sure how to pronounce your surname. But thank you for letting us know that you don't think that Rune can make it. And I'm happy for people. I don't know, Kevin, if you're how you feel about people kind of popping their heads up and saying, just kind of turning off their mic, or I'm not sure. But yeah, I just wondered whether um I'm going to say it again incorrectly, but Kare, who mentioned
It's
that
it's core.
core. Thank you. I just wondered whether, at some point later in the conversation, if you're able to shed some light, some further light on the Yggdrasil stories, or there's certainly the story of the serpent. That's something that, I'd be really interested in inviting as well. Because that's what we want to
Certainly.
do. We want to
Be happy
yarn.
to.
The other part of that was the whole Jormungandr um, world snake, So there's the orms, like these serpents there, but then there's the big Jormungandr, the world snake, constantly doing battle with Thor. And the idea is that they have this balance, between each other, and lightning's created, and it's fire and ice, and keeping the world in motion. Um, yeah, and always doing that fair fight, for all eternity. And the day one of them cheats and beats the other, then that will be Ragnarok. Um, yeah, it's so I guess if we do go to that next one, the Persian thing. Um, at first, as Aboriginal people, looking at all these dragons being slain by heroes, we were just shocked, and we, no, you can't like kill the serpent. These people kill their serpents, and they make their serpent to be evil, and then the person that kills them to be good. Oh, that's weird. But of course, our serpents get slain a lot in our stories as well. But it's just usually the whoever is slaying the serpent is an evil person, or who is someone doing wrong when they murder the serpent, and the serpent is kind of more like the hero, um, in most cases. But here we have the Ajdaha there, and these dragons, these serpents, are just beings of pure evil and dryness. So their very presence just annihilates water, and they must be slain in order for water to come. And of course, in a dry country, water is the most precious, sacred thing. But what we found, talking like properly to people, having the good yarns, we saw that this division of the hero and the beast, the hero or the noble who's slaying the dragon, representing good, and then the dragon representing evil, it's still it's still holding that duality. But instead of the duality being contained in the serpent, as a being of, sky or under the earth, male or female, they're always really dual. Also good and evil. They're both creator and destroyer, all these serpents. Yeah, something really interesting happened in Persia back in the day when they first started pushing together piles of stones to make the world's first temples. Yeah, there was this division happened where the duality of the serpent as creator and destroyer was divided between heroes and the dragon themselves, but still performs the same function. We found as well in the end. So we put that chapter right at the start of the book, because for us it was very strange encountering encountering those stories. Um, and we couldn't really talk to many makers because it's still the image of the the image of the serpent is bad luck and even sort of evil and sacrilegious. There, both for Persian people, but also um, in many aspects of modern life. Um, Although they had them there from the Mongolian occupation, um, when the Khanate was there, and they were they had lots of dragons coming through the Chinese Buddhism that they converted to. But then by the time they left, they'd converted to Islam. Those Khans as well. So you still see serpents in the architecture. And of course, now we're skipping over to Mesoamerica and Quetzalcoatl. Oh, do you know recently? See, all the yarns are coming in now. The best yarns aren't in the book. They're the yarns that people are bringing to us now. Yeah, so I found out the other day that Quetzalcoatl actually came to Yarrabah in far north Queensland um, a few years back at that eclipse, if you remember the eclipse a few years ago. Yeah, so I was actually in Cairns, like close by, and I did see some strange things, but I didn't find out until later that a knowledge keeper from Mexico did a ceremony there with the elders, and he called up Quetzalcoatl, and he came across the ocean and went into the forest somewhere there around Yarrabah. Um, yeah, so that's a bit of an investigation. I'll have to follow up. Yeah, that feathered serpent, who is a servant, and his knowledge is of civilization and arts, and but also sustainable agriculture and sustainable city building. And he went away before the Spanish arrived. He went away because things went bad. Hey, Jamnalal.
So there's Jamnalal's work. And I wonder, Jamnalal, if you wanted to perhaps speak to some of the images that we're seeing here. Is that putting you on the spot at all?
Need interpreter.
So, hi, I'm Ishan Khosla here. Should
Hey,
I jump in?
Ishan, good to see you again.
Yeah. Hey, so I worked with Jamnalal on those works. So we collaborated on that work for Sangam. And maybe Jamna ji, आप कुछ बोलना चाहेंगे काम के बारे में? I'd like him to speak first, and then if you want, I can speak a little bit. I'll translate. आपका वो ऑफ है स्पीकर स्पीकर को ऑन करके आप थोड़ा बताइए.
जी आवाज आ रहा है मेरा।
हाँ जी, बताइए
हाँ
इसके
जी।
बारे में आप क्या बताना चाह रहे हैं. और बीच बीच में रोक भी देना, फिर मैं ट्रांसलेट भी करना होगा ना.
हाँ ये हमारे आप लोग बेटर एक्सप्लेन कर सकते हैं इसमें जो आप ऑर्गेनाइज किया है आप लोगों ने। और इसके बारे में आप पूछना चाहें, कोई भी क्वेश्चन है तो आप पूछ सकते हैं इसमें। हमारे यहाँ तो ये गॉड गॉडेसेस बोलते हैं इनको, और हर एक मंदिर में बिठाते हैं। एंसेस्टर का रूप भी होता है, और लोगों की धारणा रहती है कि उनको असमय काटे नहीं, सांप काटे नहीं, खेती में भी रखवाली करे, इसलिए इनको पूजा जाता है। ये कारण रहता है।
हाँ, आपने इसका नाम क्या बोला? से अभी कुछ बोला था.
हर हर विलेज में मंदिर में बिठाते हैं, और
हाँ हाँ
खेतों में
हाँ.
इनकी खेतों में जाए तो भी रखवाली करे, जिंदगी में इनकी रखवाली करे, सांप काटे नहीं। तो
ओके.
वो ये वर्शिप करते हैं, साप्ताहिक पूजा करते हैं, ताकि इनकी जिंदगी में खुशहाली रहे, और उनकी रखवाली भी करते हैं। और
ओके.
हमारे इधर मानना है कि एक 3 किलोमीटर के अंदर नहीं, 1 किलोमीटर के अंदर एक स्नेक रहता है धरती के अंदर, ऐसा मानना है। और
अच्छा
होते
अच्छा.
हैं, निकलते हैं जी।
हाँ हाँ
और
हाँ.
एक स्टेप वेल होता है, स्टेप वेल। तो वहां पर स्टेप वेल कुआ जो होता है, ओपन वेल और स्टेप वेल, तो वहां पर इनको बिठाया जाता है, ताकि इनका नाम थोड़ा चेंज हो जाता है, राडा जी बोलते हैं, परंतु होते ये स्नेक ही होते हैं। बड़े वाले
Uh,
सांप होते हैं, ताकि अदृश्य होते हैं, दिखाते नहीं, और जिंदगी में वहाँ कोई परेशानी नहीं आए, और खेत से कोई चोरी करके लेके नहीं जाए, उसके लिए रखवाली
oh,
करते हैं। तो साप्ताहिक पूजा करते हैं। और अभी तो स्नेक के तो बहुत सारे ऑप्शन हैं, खुले हुए हैं। लोग बाग कॉपर का, गोल्ड का, सिल्वर का रिंग बना करके भी पहनते हैं, ताकि उनकी जिंदगी में खुशहाली और डरे नहीं सांप देख करके भी। तो ऐसी बहुत सारी चीजें हैं सर। जी।
ठीक है। मैं आपने बहुत मैं ट्रांसलेट करने की कोशिश करता हूँ. सो he said a few things, but let me also set the context for those who don't know this work briefly. So this is something that we were commissioned to do for an exhibition by Sangam, the Australia-India design platform. So Kevin Murray was behind it, and this was shown in NID in India, uh, as well as in other places. But the work basically, if you look at the left work, especially, that is how it is typically displayed in Molela. So Jamnalal ji, he is from Molela, which is in Rajasthan. It's basically a votive terracotta tech artwork that they make, and they make all sorts of artworks, not just serpents. They make other, gods and goddesses on horsebacks and various local deities, basically. But what he was saying about the serpent was that these plaques, they're basically flat at the back, so they're dimensional and in the front, but at the back they're flat. The reason for that is that people can then take them and put them in their local temple or even in their home. And the idea is to protect them, protect their fields and protect themselves from snakes, actually. But at the same time, they do worship the snake. But there, of course, there's this duality, right? They're afraid of the snake as well. So there's that aspect. And he said that now they believe that every kilometer you can find a snake. In anywhere you go, there'll be a snake within a kilometer. And also nowadays, people wear other sorts of charms, whether it's gold or silver or other sorts of things, maybe on their neck, to protect them from serpents. But this is kind of like a protection from serpents, but also from ill deeds or ill effects that happen. But at the same time, it's about worshiping the snake, because Sheshnag, who that means, like, that's the main Nag is the serpent god, right? So there's a god called Nag Devta, and that's worshipped. The god Shiva takes the form of Nag, right? So I mean, there is a connection with Shiva. So Shiva is the god of creation and destruction. So snakes again have that duality in Hinduism, of protector and perpetrator, or whatever you want to,
Mm.
Mm.
whatever word you want to use. Now the thing is that we had initially proposed working with an Aboriginal artist from Australia, but of course, due to budgets and other constraints, that was not possible. So what we have done here is kind of imagined a world where from the left you have the Indian Sheshnag serpent depictions, and on the rightmost panel is where the rainbow serpent is being shown entering the landscape from the sea, right? So basically, that's what we know is that they shape the landscape, right? Basically, the mountains, the rivers, and
Mm.
and in the middle is where both of them meet. So that's basically what the concept was when we had worked on it together. I don't know if you have any questions for Jamnalaji or for me, or you'd like to know more.
Perhaps, Ishan, you might want to just talk about the work behind you as well, which is a further edition of that.
Yes, yeah, you won't be able to see it very big, but this was a work that I had done part of an exhibition at the Indian Ocean Craft Triennale, and I collaborated with another really talented artist called Bhaju Sham. And Bhaju Sham is a Gond artist, Adivasi. Adivasi are the indigenous peoples of India, and so he lives in central India. And again, snakes are serpents, snakes, earthworms. These are very important to their culture. So this is actually an artwork. It's a body of nine different artworks. looking at how we worship the very creatures we are killing, in at least looking from the point of view of Hinduism. We worship, cows, but we're destroying them, etc., etc. So same, I mean, I don't want to take up a lot of time, so I'm going fast. So with the snake, it's the same thing. We worship them, but here we are basically showing, I don't know if you can see, but there's a man in the form of a snake. Uh,
Yes.
and the title is called Zehreela Insan. So I basically thought of how humans are killing. We always say, "Oh, poisonous snake, run away, let's save
Mm.
ourselves." But actually, the snake is saying poisonous human, and so Zehreela Insan means poisonous human, and we're not probably we are killing more snakes than snakes even dare to kill us or can kill us because of all the construction and mining and digging up the earth. And that basically this is another votive form called the coward, which opens up. It's wooden. It's also from Rajasthan, though. I'm talking about the structure. The
Yep.
artwork, the painting has been collaborated between myself and Banju Sham, so it's not from Rajasthan. So when you open it, you actually see, the damage being done, but also you get a glimpse on the left side of how nature and serpents live together in unison. I mean, he depicts it beautifully. That's totally his work on the left, which I don't have it here. If you want, I can show it briefly. I have it on my screen, but otherwise later at the end. But basically, he has a depiction of snakes and trees merging into one, and then we have the
Mm.
same reflected as pipes and the cityscape, basically pipes and all
Oh,
sorts of pollution, things that create pollution. And instead of trees, you have buildings and other things. Instead of routes, you have subways. So things like that. So that's what this artwork was
Yeah,
about in a nutshell.
nice.
That's certainly something to put into the Discord chat that will continue after this
Mm.
talk. Megan and Tyson, do you want to say anything before we go on?
oh, just thank you for sharing that primarily. And thank you, Jamnalal and Ishan, for sharing that information with us. It was really nice to just kind of be back in the conversation space again with you, like we were when we were talking to you for the first time. So yeah, just thank you for sharing that with us.
Good. Thanks very much, Jamnalal and Ishan.
Yeah, just looking forward to hopefully we'll be able to organize a proper, embassy, a gathering and meeting, between elders or knowledge keepers from here, and who will be able to speak and share story to, to finalize that sort of journey of bringing those serpents together. Um, that was something that to me that's a story that's incomplete yet. you know. So I did not want to write about that yet, although it's been in the forefront of our mind, something that we would like to do. Um, yeah, so I mean, our serpents aren't like we don't have like a generic rainbow snake that's the same one everywhere. Um, okay, so so this is Megan's, from Megan's people. That's her serpent there, which is Kabul. It's which is that
I might get
python,
rid of the blur,
the
actually.
carpet python.
Oh,
And so
sorry.
if you could see the pattern on that, that's the same one I put on this shield. It's that same carpet python pattern. So yeah, on this stick, this little fighting stick here, that's we got her snake on one side, and we got mine on the other side, which looks quite different. But he takes different forms in different seasons. They're all quite sort of shapeshifters. This is a theme that runs through a lot of them. So there's another um, depiction of my Taipan snake. It's incomplete yet. I'm still working on that. So yeah, I did a lot of carvings for this book, but we didn't really mention them. In the other books that I've made, the carvings are central to the writing and to the chapters, and I talk a lot about them, but I didn't mention them in this book. I mentioned the work of other people. And yeah, and Megan took deep dives into that. I see, yay. So they're from Myanmar. So
Oh, so you? Yeah, we can see you there, so you.
yeah, and she was yeah, her work was just blew us away and ended up her stories ended up sort of binding this common thread of serpents and women that ran all the way through the book, you know, from the opening chapter and all the way through. From the opening paragraph. This
Shall we go to her
focus on
now?
those because that was part of the Nag and Naga sort of name that we were following everywhere, you know, all throughout Asia. Even in Kathmandu, where they acknowledge the serpents as the first people. So when they do their land acknowledgement, they acknowledge the snakes as the traditional owners, which is pretty cool. But would love to hear from so you again. Like we were quite worried there for a year or so. We hadn't heard anything, and we wondered if she was still safe, especially with all those delicate ceramics. It's a hard they're hard things to stop from breaking when there's lots of things going on, a civil war that won't stop.
So yeah, would you like to join us? I think you're in the room.
Yes. Hello, everyone.
Hey.
My name is Soyu Nue. I'm from Myanmar and I am a ceramic artist. Very nice to talk to you here. Should I share about this work or
Yes, please do.
Yes. So this piece I made in 2018 when I was invited to participate in Asia Pacific Triennale in Queensland Art Gallery. And at the time, I am working in Jingdezhen, China. I am of ethnic descent, Yunnan. I'm Yunnan Chinese, who lives in Myanmar. So ethnically and culturally, I'm Chinese, but nationality-wise, I am Myanmar. So it's the first time I went to China and to make the work and be living in China and like immersed in Chinese culture and food. So at the time, I was working in Jingdezhen, which is the porcelain capital of China. So this piece is made in porcelain. The only most of the things that we see in Myanmar that use porcelain is this goddess called Guan Yin, which is the goddess of mercy in Buddhism. When I was making this piece, I was also thinking about Guan Yin, and usually Guan Yin is made in porcelain. So I made this piece using porcelain, and it's inspired by this Chinese goddess called Nuwa. Nuwa is the creationist goddess that create the world and human using clay from the Yellow River. So she sculpted a human being from clay. And as a ceramic maker who works with clay, this story is very fascinating. So I made this piece in the composition of inspired by Nuwa. The head itself is a cast from a puppet of Nagamedo. Naga mean dragon, but it's not really the Chinese dragon. It's the Burmese dragon, which is more similar to serpent, more similar to snake because they don't fly. They either swim or they crawl on earth. But they're very powerful sort of deity in Burmese mythology also. So this head is Nagamedo, which translate dragon queen. So it's sort of like a hybridization of all of this stories and mythical identities in this piece. I was born in the year of the snake. Which is why I started making sort of serpent series in exploration of my personal identity, like part Chinese, but live in Myanmar and also have lived in Thailand. In my own personal artistic practice, I usually look at these kind of stories and get inspired and sort of weave the stories together in different iterations. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's how I feel too.
Yeah, we really it was such a deep dive, and there were so many, but so many different stories, shared, and particularly with that the Buddhist sect that is there and that is in prominence and that has so much influence um, with the military dictatorship government there, that they actually arrived there from Indonesia, but by way of China. So like Buddhist missionaries in Indonesia first, and then that sect went across to Myanmar, and there was a lot to look at there, with the politics, but then also that very particular, way of doing, um, Buddhism that sort of held women as unclean and as
Mm,
something that's impure and damages the sacred. So a
mm,
lot of places where women weren't allowed to approach the sacred places and things like that. So yeah, there was a lot. That was a troubling chapter. We did talk a fair bit, deep dive, looking at the Burmese python and also some of the like indigenous stories. There's a lot of kind of like Beauty and the Beast myths where a poor woman or of low status, marries a serpent and then he changes into a high status man and she lives happily ever after. But that's not the end of the story, like in the Western Beauty and the Beast. The second half of the story is her friend gets jealous and tries to do the same thing, marries a snake, and then the snake eats her, which I thought was a really good ending. Yeah, but then so Rune Rasmussen, with the Viking stories, he's telling the story of the Lindworm. Yeah, which is really similar, very similar about women marrying serpents and you know um, yeah, lots of disastrous wedding nights to go through. Yeah, so yeah, that ended up being quite an important part. We kept seeing a lot of Beauty and the Beast style
mm.
narratives, but yeah, it's just I can't tell you how much your work influenced. Kept directing us back to looking at the connections between women and serpents.
Mm,
So it's kind of like
Thank you
almost,
so
mm,
much.
yeah, there is always a bird, like always a Garuda, a phoenix, an eagle,
mm,
above and in a relation, often a tense relation with the serpent on the ground, but kind of between them is the woman, who can move between realms. She can go to the highest of the high, but she can also descend, in different seasons. Winter, for example, can go down into the deep dark, and so she can traverse those realms. So yeah, lots of even prehistoric, cave paintings and things with women who have, feathers and, a serpent's tail. Um, yeah, all around the world. It's a really strong image. But your work just captures this moment of transformation. It has where the serpent is a shapeshifter,
mm.
but it sort of captures that moment when it's halfway between a dragon and a woman, in that, transformation, and there's that twisted sort of agonized, wounded aspect, but it's kind of frozen in time with this very mobile, very fluid medium of the clay, which you then like vitrify and freeze that moment in time. Um, yeah, constantly in that act of transformation and halfway between opposing forces and forms. Yeah, just absolutely, yeah. It
Stunning.
really did inform a lot of our thinking and directions.
Thanks a lot, so you for
Yeah,
that.
thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for your kind words.
If we can now move on a bit closer to home, so to speak, to a dragon that has made its mark in the state of Victoria. Uh, Tyson and Megan, if you want to mention the Bendigo dragon.
Yeah, so you can see there. Now this is I think it's Daigumlung, or Dailung, or Sunlung. I'm not quite sure. I get confused actually. But
Yeah.
So what we have is a lung means dragon, and I just can't quite recall the translation of sun, what sun long means, and then Dagam long. If anybody knows the translations, that would be fantastic. Pop it in the chat.
Really big.
Yeah, so this dragon actually is the longest dragon um, that is in the world, and it lives in Bendigo, and I think it's still in existence, and so every year I think there's an annual parade. And this dragon has played a really significant role, actually, in sort of bringing people together in the Bendigo community. Particularly, the Chinese, sort of settler relations. The dragon played a really important role because it was, yeah. So okay, Dai Long, thank you. Um, uh, Yeah, so it was such a significant feature, and intricately and beautifully created, and requires a significant number of people to carry it, and the beading work that's in it, is just it's historically significant, and it's actually in a museum in. I think that one's in Bendigo, and there's another in Melbourne. But what's sort of quite significant about this particular dragon is that um, the knowledge that sort of went into creating it has actually been sort of taken back to China. And so, it's actually informed some of their, maker practice because,
Culture was recovered.
yeah, there was,
There were people who had kept it in diaspora, in Australia, Hong Kong, Hawaii, um, yeah, all around the world, the Chinese communities in diaspora,
mm,
diaspora is always thought of as cultural loss or,
mm.
dispossession, sorrow, but it's so strong, it's communities that are, have migrated, they often actually keep the seeds of a culture alive and strong. So the dragon tradition was able to be returned to China after the Cultural Revolution sort of calmed down a bit, and they're allowed to do culture again. Yeah, great partnerships between Australia and Taiwan and everything else. But also, it adapts too when it's in different lands because of the influence of the serpents in those places where it's traveled, which is kind of beautiful.
Yeah, and it's really funny because of the fact that it was the longest, I think there was a new one that was made, but they didn't want to they didn't want to outdo the original. But I believe that the new one that was made was slightly longer, and then I believe that they lengthened the original, or I was reading it, and the specific details of sort of I've forgotten them, but so now nobody actually knows exactly how long any of them are, because so they just keep that under wraps so that there's no competition, which I just thought was really funny.
Great. Shall we move on to South Africa?
Oh yeah, Andile, his countrymen are here. Is that
Yes,
right?
so Andile
Your
can't be here,
countrymen?
but his wife,
Mm.
Oh,
Kutazo Alexis Delvani, and Comrade Mazawanele Chishonga are here. Do you want to
this
unmute
so
yourselves?
good, so good to greet you both. And that'll be Megan jumping in. But just to set the scene for everyone else, this is continuing that idea of diaspora. and how our snakes can travel with us because our serpents do travel, and how this serpent traveled in antiquity with different migrations, but then also traveled when they were displaced. Um, yeah, when they were displaced, from the river and the village, and it followed them into the city and helped everybody recover language and culture. So yeah, it's another strong story of diaspora and how the serpent is our friend in diaspora. But anyway, I'll leave Megan to make our connections because we did not meet his wife before.
ठीक है पण कुठे केले मिळत ना कोण में जवा के दर
Nkosato, are you there? Mzwaneli?
Uh-huh. I can see greetings here in the chat. I'm not sure if you're comfortable using the microphone and just speaking to the images that you can see or that we can see. Whether you're comfortable sort of describing the ceremony that we can see.
Transmutation of displacement. Nailed it.
Did you want to do? Did you want to have a bit of a conversation?
Yeah, well, it's
the work
from our understanding of it, from our yarns. These are a series of pieces, and I'll probably say it wrong, but I'd like to hear the right way to say it. That Uljola serpent that travels with the people. And there were these sculptures that Andile did where they were the serpent's it's got serpent egg kind of shape in some of them, but it's that serpent kind of emerging from himself. It's a moment of transmutation, that's that transformation again. But this kind of rebirth of language and culture, and that serpent, through dreams and rigorous cultural practice and ceremonial inquiry, to recover all language lost and ceremonies and so much that's just really important for any indigenous community, to keep alive. And so these are images of that clan, the serpent of that clan, which I think there's like 50 different clans, 50 something. But yeah, the serpent sort of recreating, reproducing, and emerging from itself, from the culture, and allowing that re-emergence of the culture away from the homeland and in the city, which sort of that gives everybody hope, I think. There were so many stories of cultural recovery, and that just that resilience and that creativity that comes from diaspora, and that cultural strength, it's huge. Because there's so many of these stories are about that joyous reemergence of culture and cultural revitalization. So with the Irish stories and all of the rest, this sort of, I don't know, just the idea that these South African people are able to sort of give an example and show hope for so many European cultures, people who've lost their traditional lore and story, and sort of show that way forward of being able to do cultural recovery that isn't like woo-woo making stuff up, nonsense things, but that is recovery, of knowledge through proper law, proper ceremony. We saw a lot of this, and we're continuing that work in the world.
Kutaso has shared that he comes from the Jola clan, Nkwakwa is the totem. Omens of ancestors born from the womb. Sorry, I've just got this
Womb
little
waters.
thing. Womb waters of a chieftain named Jola, a twin spirit, as the snake appeared on his body in death.
Mm.
Okay, thank you very much for that. And Dile is quite remarkable how he can both show his work in international design circles, but also connect to his village, his Xhosa village, for ceremony. And there's a number of articles in Garland which cover that. Should we go on to Java now?
Yes, please.
And Dias, I think, is here. Dias, would you like to say hello?
Hello,
Selamat sore.
everyone.
Hello,
Hi, Diaz.
brother.
Hello, Tyson and Megan. Nice to see you. And also, uh, Kevin. Hello, my name is Diaz, and I'm really inspired with the story that uh, dragon, or in Java called Nogo or Naga, or in female called Nagini. It seems with with the traditional story from Sanskrit. This is was my back in 2017 when I got one sample. It's kind of like a project with the Faculty of Forestry in Gajah Mada University in Yogyakarta. Back in 2017, when I got the opportunity to make the mural about the dragon, because in Java, dragon is really sacred, really rich of history about guardian of peace, the guardians itself as well, and also the mural creating the story about how the traditional context about from Javanese story can relate with the what is happening with the the forest in Java especially, and also in Indonesia as a guardian. When I saw the image that you give us, Megan and uh, Tyson, about the underworld about the dragon, the first image, the drawing, which is really, I think I saw it's kind of like image like that, which is really inspired a lot of, traditional artists in Java, especially who create the dragon in here. They also give us the insight about the dragon, which is dragon is really sacred in the underworld, but also in our world as well. Naga in ourselves, in our life, it's kind of like a guardian in here. We also have no godino, which means it's kind of like how people can can counting the days by the dragon in here in Java.
Mm.
If you want to go to to the south, to the north, or to the west or east, we kind of like reading the dragon. It's kind of like get some advice from the people who really know about the story about the dragon. Then the people give us some advice that you cannot go there for today, but you can go there around maybe next 2 days, because the rain is really hard right now, and the thunder is really bad right now. So uh, they give us some example how it's kind of like they can counting the days by the Nogodino. It's kind of like not a shaman, but it's kind of like a give us some example how we as a people together creating the ecosystem of life, and the ecosystem how we can read the days by the Nogodino itself. In Java, it's really important. And as my creation in here, I really inspired with the Yogyakarta kingdom. If you go to the kingdom of Yogyakarta in central Java, you can see Nogo is everywhere. in the house, in the ceiling, in the pillars, a lot of dragon because Naga is kind of like the guardian for the kingdom. So this particular head of the dragon, it's kind of like a really related with our king in Yogyakarta, which is the king itself in Yogyakarta is really respected in here, uh, more respected than our than the our Indonesian president as well because in Indonesia, especially in Yogyakarta, they really respected the kingdom first. Then the second one is the president, really
Mm.
special in Yogyakarta because Yogyakarta also the first Independence Day in independence in Indonesia, the first region is Yogyakarta. Before Indonesia to become Indonesia, Yogyakarta has a long, long history about how to become a kingdom in India, and uh, and after Indonesia become Indonesia, Yogyakarta give Indonesia a lot of insight, give us some example how to create the country with the with the to unite everything in here because if you go to Indonesia, 17,000 island, 800 tribes here,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
400 different languages. In Java as well, you can see different language between, West Java, Central Java, East Java. It's really different language in here. So dragon, you can see in Sumatra Island, in Sulawesi Island, in Papua as well, in Kalimantan or Borneo. Mostly, the meaning of the dragon is kind of like for the guardian.
Mm.
Mm.
In especially in Java, they're basically really inspired from from the Sanskrit, and in Sumatra there is a lot of the story about Java as well, the folklore based on the dragon, and my mural also really inspired by the dragon. Even also I also inspired by the Chinese dragon because in Chinese in my close in my perspective also dragon really important as well in Chinese heritage and tradition. I also really inspired by the from my mural, from my drawing and my batik. I also inspired by the Chinese dragon inspiration, and it's really close in here that uh between the tradition and also the how we create as an artist really related in here. You also can see in Bali because in Bali between tradition and culture and tourism it's really close to attract the tourism as well, and also to give some an exchange, cultural exchange between how the cultural from Indonesia or from Java can create a big movement that people right now is not, they also can see that the if we can back to the our roots about the dragon, it also can give us an example of life through the back in the tradition itself. Thank you so much. Terima kasih.
We did notice that everywhere in the world, serpents became dragons um, as soon as there was a king.
Yeah.
As soon as a kingdom formed, the snake became a dragon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting. Time is running out. Thank you so much, Dias, terima kasih. And while we're still all together, maybe it's an opportunity if somebody has something particular they want to add to the yarn we're having, because this is of course just a glimpse of
Mm.
what you can find in Snake Talk the book,
Mm.
as well as all the contributions that are going to follow
Mm.
this.
Mm. It is an oral text, all of these yarns. The book is just a printed fragment. um, yeah, the knowledge is in the stories that we share. Now, a Palestinian woman
Mm.
told us a couple of days ago about the serpent in Gaza is regarded as symbolizing fate because they are, she said they're pure destiny because they don't have any agency and they don't make any decisions. They're just existing purely in the patterns of creation. So, if you get bitten by a snake, then
Your
that was your
fate.
fate. So these serpents, you're quite a neutral figure that just represent destiny in Gaza. So we were thinking about that.
Yes.
What might
Is
be slithering around in the rubble right
Kere Wangle?
Core?
Cool.
Thank you. So I want to be respectful for what you said earlier, Megan, about contributing with something from the Nordic lore. But if you want that, I assume Jeppe would be better at it. But I do have a question if you have time for that.
Yeah.
Do we have
I
Do
was
we have Kevin?
Yeah, time
Yep.
for a question.
Sweet.
Thank you. I was wondering if you're touching on the proposition that at least some of snake lore comes from using the image of the snake as a representation of a wave form.
Ooh.
I got that from Carl Johan Kalleman, who studied Maya law.
Well, Heisenberg's a good way to come into understanding the serpent. Yeah, so I mean it can be a wave, but can be a particle as well. It's just the serpent, as we understand it, exists in an everywhen, so a cloud of infinite potentialities. So if you like, a cloud of specks of where that particle might be at any one time. And if the serpent's moving, then yes, a waveform. You could line that up as an analogy. Yeah, but just the fact that the serpent is killed, but that's just one moment in its eternal life, you know, and you can revisit that moment as often as you like. It's not an end point or a termination in the life of the serpent, even if it was killed long ago. Yeah, so it's a very different model of time. And I was exploring that with the opening, like many years ago, like nearly 10 years ago, with the that Serpent Club and clay sculpture that I exhibited many years ago that Kevin showed at the start. It was one of the that was one of the carvings from Sandtalk, originally with the rainbow snake. And the publisher asked me to write another book straight after Sandtalk. He wanted that snake book. And I asked Megan if she'd write it with me. And so that was probably in around 2019, 2020. Megan agreed to join with me to write the snake book. And it's now 2025, 5 years later. We finally actually published a book on that one. Yeah. So we're actually working on Snake Talk before I did my last book. But here we are, third in the trilogy.
Good. Well, we're seeing
Thank you.
already some really fascinating comments coming through. And I think today's been a really wonderful example of the role of snake in making embassy, the way in which we've been able to connect so many different cultural voices together. And if anything, the world needs ways of connecting cultures together as they seem to be at each other's throats in so many parts of the world. So I think we've come to the end now. Megan and Tyson, if you want to say something, some farewell, some message to conclude with.
What does the snake say?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think this has just been an extraordinary journey, which it's just been such a pleasure to be able to have the opportunity to bring. This is the first time actually that any of the makers who have been involved in the journey have gathered together. So that has been a really significant moment for us. And so, it's just, I would love to kind of, I suppose, get some insights into how, what it might, how it comes across to you, hearing and learning about these different interpretations of serpent. And I'm not sure whether you are going to mention something about the Discord later, Kevin, but yeah, so but yeah, so one of the people who shared a story with us, Susan, she's actually in the United States, and I spoke to her I emailed her this morning, or I'd emailed her a link, an invitation, not just this morning. She got back to me this morning and said that she wasn't going to be able to make it because it's 3 o'clock in the morning there, or it was 3 o'clock in the morning when we started. But she said, that serendipitously, when she was on her walk this morning, she happened to see a snake, which is a first for her. So I think it's just there's definitely something at play with this journey. This is so much bigger than us, and we just invite you to be along with us in the journey and contributing to it. Find out about your own snake stories, and if you don't know, if you know them, please, we'd be honored if you would share.